Now for the main part of the evening, we want to welcome Michael Crawford. Oh, who's going to be here? Yes?
Not the main part of the evening.
Yes. And after him, we will have Joe, and Michael will announce Joe. Thank you, Mike.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. All right, if you don't mind, I wrote a few things down here. Thank you, Reggie, Terry, and the Stoughton Chamber of Commerce for having me part of this fun and great evening. Also, thank you again to the Chateau for hosting us here at this awesome dinner. It was awesome, wasn't it, everyone? Great. So, for those of you unfamiliar, my name is Mike C. You may have seen me around town once or twice, maybe at doing it for Diane, maybe at a chamber meeting, maybe just walking through the center trying to grab a cup of coffee. Who knows? You've probably seen me around town. But I've seen a lot of you, and I'm very happy and appreciative that you guys invited me out here for tonight and to introduce our keynote speaker for the evening. They're on to the awards, and the keynote speaker, Red Sox manager Walpole Joe Morgan. Speaking of, it's been a tough couple of weeks, hasn't it, as a sports fan in Boston? It's been 24 hours since our last win, 9 weeks since our last World Series. I'm telling you, we keep digging it, we might get one. Well, that's it for my bad jokes for the evening. Thank you. One final one. I hope everyone had a chance to take a photo with the trophy. Lou and DJ in the back will be more than happy to take that photo. I'll be taking photos with others outside after the event. As some of you know, both my Aunt Peg and I are prior recipients of Volunteer of the Year. So this is a great and very personal event for me. I still have the plaque up. It's right up next to both my college degrees in my living room, so it really does mean something for me. So, also my ordained minister plaque as well, but that's a different story for another day. All right, so without further ado, let's go into our evening, the awards as part of this evening. Our first award is the Stoughton Chamber Business of the Year 2018. And that business award goes to the Envision Bank. Please come up here, members of Envision Bank. Envision Bank, their hard work and their support for our beautiful community does go noticed. Their generosity to the food pantries and foundations make us sure that no one goes to bed hungry any night. Once again, thank you guys. Round of applause to Envision Bank. I believe they wanted to come up and say something as well.
Thank you. Reggie, Terry, members of the board. First of all, what an honor to be even near Joe Morgan. If you said to me, like, one of the three highlights, I'm the biggest baseball fan in the world. That 1988 year, this guy came in and won 12 in a row with a team that didn't have the talent to finish in last place, never mind first place. And he brought him in first. So it was unbelievable. The best experience I can ever remember, Joe. Thank you. Huh? Yeah, right. So we're really honored and humbled to be cited tonight as the business of the year. And you know, why does things like that happen? People like Christine Johnson, who manages our office at Cobb Corner, and Shupo Kahinde, who manages our office on Washington Street. The people who work at the 10 Cabot Place. We have a huge commitment in Stoughton, 3 offices, because the community's been great to us too. So thank you. It's a great honor. We're humbled by our selection. We look forward to continuing our work with the Chamber and the town of Stoughton. Thank you.
Thank you.
Depending on how Terry got that photo, I think he got some people in there as well. Part of my phone, I'm not just a millennial, I'm also someone who writes down on their phone. So, the next one up here is the Stoughton Volunteers of the Year, Stoughton Chamber Volunteer of the Year 2018. A group of gentlemen that I worked with not too long ago. That would be the Bay State Lodge Knights of Pythias. Round of applause. Thank you. Their continued efforts of raising money and awareness for our 2 amazing food pantries does go noticed. The recent event, the VFW, which I helped be a part of, raised over $6,300. And to date, they've raised over $60,000, I believe? $40,000. Don't worry, we're getting to $60,000 next year. Let's do it. $40,000 for our food pantries. I was very happy to be a part of it last year. I was happy to be part of their event this year, and I'll be happy to be part of it again next year as we raise more funds for our 2 food pantries. Once again, thank you guys. If you'd like to come up and receive your award.
Thank you. I'm not one for public speaking, but it's a lot of hard work, and we know that it was going to an organization that appreciates us. Thanks for all the help that everyone gave us. And we'll do it again.
If I can reach out to Envision Bank for another 20,000 on behalf of the 60, thank you, by all means.
Jeffrey, use the microphone.
They heard me. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you again, guys. And our last but not least award of the evening, our Stoughton Chamber Businessperson of the Year 2018, Old Colony YMCA Executive Director Ellen Green. Ellen. I've known Ellen for a number of years, working for a number of events at the Y. She opens her doors to the community and for all of us, including chamber events, chamber meetings, and events for other community programs and organizations. She's helped to save over $400,000 finding a way to get YMCA members through the door and having a happier life. And as you know, Ellen, it continues to be community-minded. So thank you again, Ellen. Thank you for your help. And your
Thank you. Want to say a couple of words?
Of course. Don't I talk a lot? So I had, actually my notes are at the table, but I do want to say a couple things, which is that this community is a wonderful community. I've been very blessed to be part of this community, and I will continue to be. I'm not leaving anyone. But I feel like I'm in great company. So Envision Bank and Knights Pythias, I mean, really, it's really quite an honor to be honored in this way. I'd like to share a couple of things. There's, you know, I always want to talk about the Y, but I really want to talk about the support I get from the Y, the support we get from the community, the support we get from Terry and the team of the Chamber of Commerce. I've learned a lot from the Chamber of Commerce, so it's important for people to know I've met many, 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 many people, and we've been blessed to be able to support the community. I'm proud of that. So when there's a family in need, if fire happens in the community, we all come together, we figure out how we're going to support that family. Terry is sort of the leader of that. It's really, when you think about what the Chamber does, it's quite amazing. And the Y is great to be able to support that. Well, that's what our mission is. Our mission is to support the community and support you. So thank you very much.
Thank you again, Alan. And now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. Joe Morgan is a lifelong Massachusetts native, a dual sport athlete, baseball and hockey, and manager for the Red Sox. His hard work and dedication, both on and off the field, is an inspiration to us all, both personally and as business owners. I hope that we get to experience a little piece of the Morgan magic tonight and through the rest of the community year here in Stoughton. And thank you, by the way, for someone else bringing up the fact that he did win 12 games in a row, win 19 of 21, and brought us into the playoffs 2 years in a row. I remember watching you, and I continue to look forward to watching you tonight when I sit down and watch you speak. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause. Let's have it here for local native fellow Southpaw and Walpole, Joe Morgan.
1942, I first heard of Stoughton.
IKEA?
Yeah, it was a really cold day, and I was sitting out on my front steps waiting for some guy to come and pick me up and take me over here because Walpole was playing Stoughton. And we had a pretty good team. We had Butch Song in there, who was the first Patriots quarterback. And we had a judge that was here for years, George Sullivan. Anybody know him? Yeah, he went on to play at Notre Dame and did a good job. Well, nobody came by. Cars came by about once every 20 minutes. So my odds weren't very good. And I didn't get over here, and Stoughton wins the game 6-0. I remember it was a very cold day, and Songen threw a pass in the last minute. We had a guy crossing the goal line, and he dropped it. And he said he never felt it hit his hands. It was so cold. Anyway, are there any members of the Rafalco family here? Because he was the big shot for the Stoughton team. So I can see right now I'm older than I thought I was. When I decided to come here, I was wondering what I was going to say, so I got a few odds and ends for you. Who's the greatest player in baseball history? You hear that a lot. Well, there's no doubt it was Babe Ruth, because he hit a ton of home runs, and he hit these home runs a lot when baseball had that scandal with the White Sox, when they did a little betting. In those days, they bet against baseball or for it, because the owners were so cheap that they weren't making any money. So that's why they did it. So I would say during my time, who I saw was Willie Mays. He was the best. I talked to a lot of players that played against him, and most of them agreed. Now, how about this? Here's a real record for you. Walpole girls field hockey. You ever hear of it? No. 81 years. They only had one losing year. Now, that's saying something, isn't it? Me and another lady the other day went down the library in Walpole, and we looked at all the records up, and that's what it came to be. Unbelievable. They don't get much credit, I know that. But anyway, here's a question you never hear it. Who was the greatest baseball player that did the most things, played the most positions, etc.? Well, this guy was 17 years old when he got signed by a big league team, and they decided to bring him right to the big leagues because the minor leagues was about over. Now, in the process of being there for a couple of months, the manager actually pinch hit this kid 9 times. Believe it or not, he got 6 hits. Unbelievable. He wasn't a pitcher, but he pitched 22 innings in the big leagues. Nor was he a catcher, but he caught 109 games, 1 at shortstop, 65 at third, 25 in the outfield, lifetime average of .325, and a big slugger who actually stole 88 bases. Does anyone know who he is?
W.P. Rose?
Not quite. He played for the Red Sox in the middle of his career. See, I knew you guys weren't too old.
He said Wade Boggs.
No, Jimmy Fox. You ever hear of him?
Oh, Jimmy Fox, yes. Yes.
Tremendous athlete. Here's a sad story, though. He died when he choked on a chicken bone, and his wife 3 years later did the same thing. That's impossible, isn't it?
That's crazy.
Long home runs. The ball that Ted hit up in that red seat in Fenway in right field. I asked Pesky about that because he was with the club then, and he said that the wind was blowing a ton, and Ted hit this terrific high fly, and that ball did land there. Now, Big Papi tried for years to reach that, and he even used a metal bat. and he said he never came close to it. But he probably never hit it in a hurricane, so who knows? Mickey Mantle hit a ball 565 feet one time in Washington. Also a day where the wind was really blowing. Here's what this guy did that played for me at Pawtucket. We were in Toledo one Sunday and the wind was howling. He hit this ball, I couldn't believe it. The fence was 390. There was 30 feet back to this huge scoreboard, which was twice as high as the Green Monster. And when that ball left the park, it looked like a golf ball. So when I got back to the dugout, I got a couple of pitches and I said, get out there and find out where that ball stopped rolling. Because there's a little league game out there and they'll tell you. Which they did. They said they had already marked it. So the next morning, me and the trainer grabbed a cab and I went out there and I measured it. And I measured it twice just to make sure. 572 feet. No, but the ball that Mantle hit and Ted, they stopped right there because they hit some. If their balls had dropped in the ground, Mantle's certainly would have went over 600 feet. Well, let's see what we got here now. Wartime players in the 40s, how good were they? How many home runs do you think the Washington Senators hit out of the ballpark that year? In the war, 1 year in the Warrior, I think it was 45. I mean, over the fence. Take a guess. In the 77 home games. Take the worst guess you can think of. 0. Who said 0? You're the winner, buddy. Can you imagine a big league team that couldn't do that? They hit 1 home run that year at home and inside the Parker. The youngest guy to ever hit a home run was during the war years, too. His name was Tom Brown. He was a 17-year-old kid with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he went on to have a pretty good career for 9 years in the big leagues. The youngest pitcher to ever pitch in the big leagues was a 15-year-old kid named Joe Nuxall. His father had a tryout with the Reds. He was probably 33 or 4, but they didn't like him. But they saw Joe the kid throwing on the sideline, so they hired him. They signed him. And he did pitch 1 inning and got smoked in the big leagues. But the next year he's in the minor leagues where he stayed for 10 years. And he came back to the big leagues when he was 26 years old as a rookie and had a terrific career for 16 years and a winning pitcher. In the old days, in the 30s and 40s and 50s, they had a lot of gimmicks to try to get more people to come to games, running, throwing, catchers throwing balls in the barrel to second base and all that stuff. The long distance throw, the longest ball ever thrown is 445 feet, 10 inches. That's like standing at home plate in Fenway, throwing a ball over the 420 at the bullpen about 10 or 12 rows up in the bleachers. That ain't a throw, it's a cab ride. We had a guy that was a general manager of the Chattanooga club, and he had what he called the green fields. He would put all these dollar bills on the infield, on the grass part, a ton of them. Most of them were ones, but he slipped a fin in there once in a while, and a 20. Now he'd take a ticket out of the stands, and the guy or the girl would come down and would have 30 seconds to run out on the field and see how much they could scoop up. Then you had both teams one on the third base side and one on the first, no spikes, so they couldn't spike each other. And that guy, like I said, had 30 seconds, but it never got to 30 seconds because about after 10 seconds, someone would fake, and then all the guys would charge out there. So the first, I was lucky enough. I was in 2 of them. The first time I think I got $4, but the second time I was waiting for the guy to make the move, and when he did, I darted out and I threw myself on the ground, and I was fishing around, and underneath, I think I got $13. Let's see. Oh, here's one for you. Let's see if anyone can come up with this. The year Ellsbury played for us the last year, the Red Sox employed 9 outfielders that year. And the left fielders were Nava, Crawford, and Sweeney. Center field was Ellsbury and Posednik. Right field was Ross and Kalish. That's 7. But they also had 2 first basemen that were out there. Adrian Gonzalez played right field for a couple of, remember him? Played right field for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, and anyone remember Lars Anderson?
Oh, yeah.
He played 1 inning in left field. Now, all these guys had one thing they all did, not play for the Red Sox, not outfielders. What do you think they all did? No guessing? This is the damn things I've ever heard in baseball. It's never happened before, and it'll never happen again. Who said true left-handed? You're a miracle man. You know why? Because I've asked this question to 1,000 people, and they never get it. They were all left-handed throwing outfielders, and the broadcasters, the radio, and the TV guys, none of them noticed it. Not even the sports writers, which was unbelievable. Only one guy noticed it. His name was Joe Morgan. Remember him? It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Now, the only way that could happen again is if every male was born left-handed. It might happen if it was 9 out there.
You're a lefty, aren't you?
I'm a left-hand batter and a right-hand thrower
Wow.
and a scotch drinker.
With both hands.
You know these games now, they're 3 hours and 45 minutes. It's pitiful. You know who the biggest culprit of that is? The home plate umpire. There's a rule that says when you get in the batter's box, you got to stay there. But they let them come in and out every pitch, do all that. I don't know why they do it. Maybe the owners tell them to do that so they can sell more beer. I don't know. But then there's the guys that are on deck and they wait, and now it's their turn, and they swing again, and they waltz up to the plate. Get up there, we know who you are. The biggest offender was Ortiz. It took him a week and a half to get up there. Unbelievable.
But it was worth it.
Nomar, once he got up there, he was tough.
Pedroia's another one.
What about in and out? But let me tell you something about Pedroia. Number 1, he's the greatest fielding second baseman I've ever seen. And I've been in baseball since '52. Never saw a guy make the plays he does. Alomar from Toronto was good, but I've seen Pedroia play 2,000 games. And I've only seen Alomar about 100, so he's a dynamite fielder, boy, and he's a good hitter. Plus, now they say he's all washed up. The only way he's washed up is the knee can't function. If the knee's fine, he'll come back and play another 3 years, I would say. Something like that. Let me ask you a question. There's only one guy in the Red Sox, and I've studied this for a couple of years, that when the batter is up there, he will not leave the on-deck circle, most of them, until the the ball's thrown around. There's only one guy, as soon as that batter hits the ball, he drops whatever he's got and he goes right to the plate. And sometimes he's there before the pitcher ever gets the ball back again. Who is it? Good answer, but you're wrong this time, pal. Dustin Pedroia. If he plays this year, look for that. He's there ready to hit, boy. I got to say this. I don't know who loved Pedroia. I mean, our whole crew, scouts and everything, nobody liked him. They never thought he could do it. I was one guy that loved him because I saw him playing Pawtucket. And he was so aggressive at that plate, I knew he was going to hit, but I had no idea he was this kind of a fielder. So, good for Pedroia. What else have I got scribbled down here? Oh, the fastest game in big league history. 53 minutes, can you believe it? Wow. 9 innings. Here's my theory on that. It was the last game of the year. It didn't mean anything in the standings. Everybody wanted to go home. Some guy hit a home run in the second inning. And from then on, everybody swung at the first pitch. And if he got a hit, he ran until he was out. What else I get? Oh, Mookie Betts. Great player. He's always smiling. The guy said, why is he always smiling? Hell, you'd smile too if you knew you were going to get 2 hits every night, wouldn't you? Oh, yeah. He plays the shallowest right field of any right fielder the Sox have ever had. And here's one thing I want him to do. If a batter, especially a right hand, hits him a 1-bounce line drive, and he's moving into the ball, there's no way he can beat the throw to first base if Betts wants to throw there. I've seen at least 4 times when he could have done it and he didn't do it. They used to do it in the National League a little when the AstroTurf first came around because they got the ball so quick. But he's amazing how shallow he plays and is able to get back and catch a lot of them balls he does. Pedroia, I see him all over this page. What have I got here? I don't know, that's enough for me. What questions you
Take
got?
some questions? Questions? Go ahead.
My favorite play was just Tremsky. Any stories on Carl?
He's always treated me good. That's what. Well, I played against Carl in Carl's first year. He was with Notre Dame, and we were playing AAA, and that guy always hit the ball to left and left center. And when he did that when he first came up. Do you know his batting averages, his lifetime average? No, it's
285.
very good. I think it is 285 or 6. The only reason is because he quit trying to hit the ball to left, and he was hitting it 380 to right against the wind. But he batters himself to the big league, so you can't blame him. Anybody else?
You think the Red Sox will repeat?
Doubtful. It's too hard to repeat. Very hard to repeat in anything, like the Patriots. Will they even repeat to get in the Super Bowl?
We'll see. We'll see.
Here's what I said about the Philadelphia game that we blew last year. I said they should have received the ball because there was maybe 4 people on the whole Philadelphia team that thought they could beat the Patriots. They should have got ahead and make them comfortable. Guess what they did yesterday? They took that P and were ahead 14-0 before you could blink, right? That's what they should have done to Philly. And I'm not a football guy. What else you got?
Question?
Yeah.
You took over the Red Sox when Morgan Magic began.
say anything or do anything, or what was that secret?
Hell no, they did it all.
Here to that winning streak. What was that magic?
The only thing I did was put Reed at shortstop, and Benza put him out there a little bit. You know, I called Reed in that first day, and I said, "Hey, Jody." He said, "Oh yeah, I know, you're gonna send me to Pawtucket." I said, "No, I'm not." He said, "Well, McNamara was." I says, "Well, McNamara's not here today. I am." So I said, "You're gonna play today, and I don't care if you go 0 for 40, you're still gonna be in the lineup." So that's what happened. He got cranked up. Most of these players, you've got to talk to them somehow. Even the big boys, they need that, whether you know it or not. You think of talking to all the little guys all the time. Big guys need just as much. How about the money they're making? Is it amazing or what? Here's another thing. The pitching today in the big leagues is by far the best it's ever been. And the baseball is too, because you got a lot of Latin kids. There's 30% Latins in the big leagues, and unbelievably, there's 50% in the minor leagues. And if you took all the good Latin players out of this game, it wouldn't be nearly as good. But years ago, I'm talking maybe 25 years ago, if you put everybody's batting average in a hat, pitchers, DHs, and pull it out at the end of the year, they would be hitting about 268, maybe 270, the whole league. Today, this year, guess what they hit for the year? They hit 254 last year. This year they hit an unbelievable 249. And just think, if you could hit 235, which is lousy, you can make a couple of $1 million. It's amazing, isn't it? So there's two reasons why the pitching is the greatest today. They got these real big guys that throw hard, 95, 98. When we played, our hardest throwers threw just as hard, but there's nowhere near as many as these guys got. And the other thing, the biggest thing is, when we played, if you sent 25 starting pitchers out there, I would say 5 of them would have a decent changeup that would give you fits. Now, almost every guy's got some kind of a changeup, split-fingered, fork-balled, straight changeup. So you put that with the guy throwing 95, and you're scuffling up there, believe me. That's why these short relievers are so good. They throw the hell out of the ball, 98, and they got an off-speed pitch to go with it. So your odds are thin when you're facing guys like that, I'll tell you. Guess what? I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Fantastic stories. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Remember, in the very back, there is a World Series trophy if you want to take pictures with it, but don't touch it. And then also remember to leave a buck or two behind. And thank you all for coming. Take some food.